Chicago Cultural Center. Thanks for coming tonight. Thank you to everyone who took the time to make a reservation for tonight's event. I know it's not something we normally do and you're not normally used to here at the Cultural Center, but it helped us organize things. And for those who did not make a reservation, thanks for being patient and waiting in line. I'm Jess Mott-Wikstrom with the Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs. Tonight we are really pleased to present this incredible event in collaboration with Science Chicago. Spearheaded by the Museum of Science and Industry, Science Chicago is a collaborative initiative to raise awareness of the importance of science, technology, and engineering, and highlight Chicago's legacy of scientific leadership through a dynamic offering of programs. I would like to acknowledge the funders of this initiative, the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the Cyril Funds of the Chicago Community Trust, Abbott, the Boeing Company, Illinois Toolworks Incorporated, and Motorola. Special thanks to Chanika Beal and all her help in coordinating tonight's event. There is a table out front. I hope some of you were able to pick up materials about Science Chicago. We also have a lot of things about the Cultural Center. There's some amazing things coming up this summer. I hope you all saw the warning, but please be advised, there actually will be lightning on stage. So do not approach the stage at any point during the performance, and please do not approach the stage even after the performance. So at this time, I'd like to introduce H. Peter Steves and the Energy Show.
Against the wishes of many, I have come tonight to bury the body of Nikola Tesla.
Солнце луч, никогда еще светом ты не дарил таким семивратнее вы. Лик ты нам, наконец, явил, око придяного дня воздя над потоком диркейским, воин Артоса, тот, что к нам весь закован в броню, пришел со щитом своим белым, быстрым бегом назад бежит, пораженный тобой. On the day of his final meal, there was an electrical storm. By that time, he was ordering 3 napkins, folded precisely into triangles, stacked beside his food. The food was never served on standard plates because he could not touch anything that was not round, He was vegetarian, perhaps the only thing about him that was not mad. He was obsessed with the idea of teleportation and with pigeons. He was 86 years old the night he died alone, penniless, after a final meal on January 7, 1943.
We want to talk tonight about energy in all of its many guises. The political, the social, the ethical, the physical, and the biological. From the question of how we as a world might survive our current predicament, to the ultimate mysteries of how energy and matter and life are intertwined. How did we get into this situation today? It no longer makes sense to speak of an energy crisis, for a crisis is something that arises and stands out against what's ordinary, what's the norm. The worries we have about energy are today the norm, and the root causes of this are both material and conceptual. Let us begin then with a non-controversial claim. The planet Earth was discovered in the year 1968. This is a philosophical claim, and we lovers of wisdom are a strange lot. Ours is the one discipline that has as its subject matter the nature of things in general, and as such, philosophy can ask questions that must never be asked by other disciplines. The physicist, in search of dark matter, cannot spend most of his day wondering about the a priori categories of understanding that make knowledge possible. The astrobiologist, in search of a distant planet with liquid water on it, cannot bother herself with questions concerning the ontological status of numbers, the being of the world, and why there is something rather than nothing. They have their own work to do. And while all this is true and good, there's something missing if we never address these sorts of questions, both because they form the foundation of all our assumptions concerning science, and because these foundations might themselves be limiting the sorts of research that's conducted and the sorts of innovations and discoveries that take place within science. Philosophy then humbly suggests that we might all be better off if, from time to time, we step back and ask the most basic and fundamental questions that are overlooked day to day as we go about our business. I say this with caution and respect, for asking these questions is a tricky and sometimes dangerous business. The first of us to do so, some 2.5 millennia ago, called himself the gadfly of Athens and encouraged everyone to question everything. For his trouble, he found himself served up hemlock after his lecture to the fine citizens of Athens. The stakes are always high in this business because what's up for grabs is our most basic conception of the world. And so, with this in mind, let's begin by thinking about how we conceptualize the world. The planet Uranus was discovered by Sir William Herschel in the year 1781. The planet Neptune was discovered by John Couch Adams in the year 1846. And the planet Earth was discovered by the crew of Apollo 8 in the year 1968. As the first humans to see Earth from a distance, the crew of Apollo 8 looked back from their orbit around the moon and saw our planet as a whole, a single entity, for the first time. Swinging around after their lunar orbit insertion burn, the crew took the first photo of Earth from far away in December 1968. Everything changed. This was an Earth objectified. An Earth that was suddenly there rather than here. An Earth that used to be the assumed background against which we lived, yet now could be seen as but one celestial body among many. One planet, yet our planet. There are many who say that the images of Earth taken on the various Apollo missions were responsible for launching the environmental movement of the 1970s. Unexpectedly, our planet appeared small and fragile, something to protect rather than be taken for granted. NASA had made it impossible to see Earth the same way ever again, and as a result, our ways of thinking changed as well. Given time, the Earth seems all the more distant, all the more fragile. As we fly farther and farther away, our home becomes smaller. It is testament to our ingenuity that we've accomplished all of this and can dream of even more. And now, we stand before a new future. Not a mission to a distant planet to uncover its mysteries and secrets, but a collective mission to a planet close by, a planet in need of assistance, a mission to planet Earth. T.S. Eliot knew that it was sometimes necessary to head out, but that when we cease our exploring and make a move to return, we will see our home again as if for the first time. How we conceptualize the mission will have much to do with its failure or its success. Let us not call this a mission to save planet Earth, though it's true that we are in a serious predicament, and it is empirically impossible, regardless of one's political orientation or species, to believe that things are going well in terms of energy and the environment. The problem with saving planet Earth as a goal is that we're saving it, in fact, from ourselves. If a serial killer stops killing, he's not really saving his potential victims. He is, in fact, finally doing the very least we could have expected from him. Furthermore, although there is indeed a sense of crisis today concerning energy and the environment, to characterize it merely as a crisis is to promote the sort of solution that's short-term and ultimately unhelpful. Part of the problem with the energy and environmental disaster in which we're enmeshed is that, in human terms, this is a so-called crisis of a slow nature. One more car on the road, one more fish dead in the lake, one more polluting power plant, one more tenth of a degree raise in global temperature. How could it matter when the change can't even be seen? Getting the public to adopt a new way of life will depend in part on how we